Another grey Monday. Lena scraped the blackened toast into the sink and stared at her reflection in the rain-speckled kitchen window. Sleepless eyes. A few silver strands escaping an untidy bun. Beyond the cracked glass, a government patrol drone drifted between apartment blocks, its searchlight briefly washing over faded brick walls before disappearing into the mist. The radio crackled as she wiped her hands on a faded towel. Parliament is expected to vote today on expanded identification requirements for public facilities. She switched it off before the announcer finished. Across the street, two uniformed officers lingered beside the bus stop, pretending to chat while quietly studying every passing face. Their presence had become as ordinary as traffic lights, always there, impossible to ignore. She poured her coffee into the sink after one bitter sip. Inside her worn leather satchel rested overdue invoices from freelance programming jobs, a weathered copy of Engineering Thermodynamics, and, tucked beneath a false divider, a tiny encrypted USB drive. Months of collected documents, contracts, surveillance logs, and internal memos that someone powerful desperately wanted erased. Lena zipped the bag shut. Outside, cold wind chased brittle autumn leaves along the sidewalk. She kept walking without acknowledging the officers behind her, resisting the familiar urge to look over her shoulder. The city had taught everyone the same lesson. Looking nervous attracted attention. The officer sorted through the contents of Lena's satchel with the practiced indifference of someone who had stopped expecting surprises years ago. A battered thermodynamics textbook. Folded invoices from freelance contracts. 3 expired battery packs marked with faded labels. He frowned at the final cell tucked inside a torn seam before dropping everything into a clear evidence pouch. Nothing special, he muttered. The cell door slammed behind her. Silence settled over the narrow holding room. A concrete bench stretched beneath a flickering light. Steel walls carried every distant footstep like a drumbeat. Lena lowered herself onto the bench, exhaustion heavier than the cuffs had been. Minutes, or perhaps hours, passed before the lock clicked again. A woman entered alone. She wore a charcoal business suit instead of a uniform, her government credentials clipped neatly to one lapel. Calm eyes studied Lena without hostility or sympathy. "William Keelman?" she asked. "Lena." The correction hung in the room. The woman gave the slightest nod. "They've connected you to the engineering annex," she said. "Your intrusion was cleaner than most." "You came to congratulate me?" "No." She reached into her jacket and placed a tiny microSD card beside Lena. "You've already done enough." Lena looked at the card but didn't touch it. "What is this?" "A choice." Without another explanation, the woman turned and left. That evening, Lena was transferred under emergency authorization after reports of a medical crisis involving senior government officials threw the capital into confusion. The convoy never reached the destination listed on the paperwork. Instead, it stopped beneath an aging municipal communications center. When the elevator doors opened, the woman in the charcoal suit stood waiting. 90 seconds, she said quietly. "After that, they'll know." She handed Lena an access badge. "What am I looking for?" "The truth." Server room B hummed with cooling fans and blinking status lights. Lena inserted the microSD card into the primary console. Directories unfolded across the screen. Not weapons. Not military secrets. Financial ledgers. Encrypted correspondence. Illegal surveillance orders. Hidden detention records. Thousands of pages documenting disappearances, embezzlement, fabricated prosecutions, and years of systematic abuse buried beneath classified seals. Her breath caught. Someone inside the system had been collecting evidence for years. All they had needed was someone willing to release it. She selected upload. Progress crawled upward. 12%. 34%. 59%. The corridor outside erupted with shouting. Security teams were coming. The console timed. 83%. The blast doors began closing. 94%. Rifle barrels appeared through the doorway. Step away from the terminal. Lena never looked back. 100%. Across the country, phones vibrated. Computers refreshed. Journalists, teachers, librarians, students, and ordinary citizens all received the same anonymous archive within seconds. By sunrise, mirrors that the government had spent years covering were suddenly uncovered. Truth spread faster than censorship ever could. When the authorities finally reached the terminal, there was nothing left to stop. The files already belonged to everyone.